more into digital skills, which are skills for future economy, any entrepreneur that will need. And we are also mandated as SETAs to provide financial support. We funded the training, but we are flexible enough to go to our board and say, let's put in our annual performance plan to the minister's consideration to say now, part of our economic recovery plan, yes, we'll put a certain budget for training for SMEs, but however, we put a certain amount of money that will then go into the business support as a grant. Well, it's not a lot because it goes in 3 different categories of our SME development program. One, you are informal traders, as I've spoken. We support 3,000 as part of our annual performance plan each year. And our budget for each of these informal traders, it's about 8,000 rand that we invest. 3,000 of it goes to training, and then what to call 5,000 of it goes into this business support grant, which they can use either to replenish their stock or to professionalize their trading space, because sometimes they trade wherein it is not dignified in a way that you will also want to respect it as an SME. So that is how far we're going as a SETA. But we also establish strategic partnership, obviously, with other players that are in the space. Then the second category of our SME development is your SME, which are small macro. And the way we differentiate them in the SETA is that the informal traders, they don't necessarily have to be registered with DTCI. They can be just registered with the municipality trading there, but we need to give them the decent trading space wherein they trade after we will have trained them. So we have that particular target year in, year out of 3,000 that you must support. Then the SME, we also have a target of 3,000, but then the amount of support that we give in terms of the business grant is about 6,500. We had to benchmark it with CEDA as part of the economic recovery plan, that once we have trained them for that particular 1 day, however, then we then needed to provide them with that particular support. And we are already establishing a very interesting partnership with some of our big wholesalers, whom as soon as we have trained these SMEs, then those wholesalers that are onboarded with CEDA as one of our strategic partner in NYDA, then they are able then to can go and redeem the stock worth that a particular amount. It might be little, but however, it has an impact. I already extend to those entrepreneurs in the group that are in the retail space really to come closer and visit our website and see our offering. And then the last sub-program in our SME development that we're doing is your Entrepreneurship Development Program. We're very strict on that in terms of that it must be credit-bearing, as opposed to the other two wherein it's just a 1 day non-credit bearing, because they don't have a luxury of time to be away from their businesses, these informal traders, more than a day. And also these guys who are owning these tech shops and all that. But our Entrepreneurship Development Program, then that's where we still do your new venture creation, your small business owner skills program. That's why we're here, actually. That's why we're supporting you. Now, our intention is that once a formal training will have happened, which we'll fund as a SETA, those that then will complete and be certificated, we also give them the business support grant of up to 15,000 for startup stock. We know it's not sufficient, it's startup stock. As I said, it's not our primary mandate actually to give financial support. Ours is to fund the actual training. But we're also establishing very good strategic partnership as well within the PSET system. We are TVET colleges. We're seeing most of them now, building their incubation centers. Some of them, we fund them in terms of our infrastructure program as SETA, because we believe that entrepreneurs, if they can also be created right at institutions of learning, in your TVET colleges and your universities, through these business schools and the incubations, we participate in those particular programs. I'm tempted to say another partnership that we have with your organization is part of our broader strategy as a SETA, therefore to say, how can we come closer to the very same people that we are mandated to support as part of SME? Well, I'm not going to be mentioning a long list of skills that we have identified through the research we have conducted, except to quote a few, which I will really share with the entrepreneurs here. One, they are soft skills. We used to call them soft skills, but they are very critical in any business. Whether you are talking Pick and Pay, the multinational organizations, or you are talking a very small SME, very key skill that is very difficult. I so wish that I can have that skill as well, because across all businesses, customer centrism, being customer centric, it's a very big issue. You can have all the qualification in business, finance, and what, but then if you don't have customer centric as your core value and how you become customer centric in your dealing, definitely you lose that particular client that you will have secured. Secondly, I'm happy my two colleagues in Zulu, I don't know whether must I put it in Zulu, but in Zulu to Amakubuga. So they said it that they once owned businesses, then they went down. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, ish. Now I'm also going to be forced to say why I joined the CETA in 2010 is because I started there and I ran a few other businesses as an entrepreneur. And one of the lessons that I have learned and what were my shortfalls and why I went down, it was because I really scaled at a fast pace. Because one of the businesses that I started, I actually started 3 businesses within a year.
Wow.
One of which was a panel building wherein with Santaco, because I used to work with them a lot, tax industry. Then we said, let's create our own panel building business for all our taxis. We're not taking them to any other panel building. Good enough, you know? Then you have this strategic partnership. They own a certain equity, I own a certain equity. But now, in terms of the overheads, because now they are spread all over the membership, now you needed the infrastructure in all other places because you anticipated that their members will bring their taxes each time they have a dent here and there. Then these guys, they decided not to bring their taxes. They have put infrastructure there. Then we went down, you know, in terms of overheads, because you still need to pay the rent, you still need to pay the people that are there. Funeral business. I used to work with Zapenuga Promotion. We did a lot of festivals in LS 2000, 2001, promoting Mafegezolo. You know, the Yizo crew, there's all us, put them there. And now I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, I'm working behind the scene to do sponsorship proposals, to fund these festivals, and we're fundraising on behalf of disabled people in South Africa. When I'm sitting with their national leadership, then we talk, but why don't we have our funeral scheme as people with disability? Because they must be buried with, you know, dignity and all these things. No, good idea. Then the organization has an equity, we start an entity there, we get some investors. Now, little did we know that in terms of the grant system, as a grant regulation through the Act of Parliament, you cannot have a debit. Now, these people with disabilities must voluntarily come to our offices and pay. Now, unfortunately, most of them, their grant is received by their parents. Then they don't come and pay in our offices. Actually, at first, you are not visible. We needed to have offices all over to be accessible to our clientele. Now they don't even come and pay their what to call. Now we've got overheads that therefore you're down. I think those are some of the lessons, and part of what we are now doing as the sitters, mentorship, you're right, mentorship is very important. And I hear a lot of entrepreneurs. Actually, we're in UK most recently, last week, right? One of the entrepreneurs there says to me, Mr. Shoba, I'm enough with mentorship. Now we want money. I said, you know what? It's not about Absa giving you money, African Bank giving money. This mentorship, it's an ongoing and continuous learning. And to the entrepreneurs that are here, know that even if you can have whatever funding, either through a grant or a business loan, but continuous learning, it must be inherent in your business strategy. And you must always prioritize, you know, and allocate yourself enough time to deal with issues that relate with self-empowerment. Self-discipline is very important. It also came up from our study that we have conducted, that a lot of our entrepreneurs that we are supporting, because they don't have discipline, and it can manifest in different ways. The most recent one, which it pains some of us, your trip, is all over. The court judgment on Monday, now they are officially liquidated. And now if you look behind what could have happened, they partnered with the digital marketing. They wanted to be all over. One of their stores in your waterfront, and now you're all over. And once you scale that far, and then you don't have capability and capacity, then you're going to land into some of these problems that some of us we have experienced. I think those are the few things that also as a SETA, when we are looking from how we are now packaging our support through skills development, we already want to partner with your institutions and partner with guys that will have traveled that route. And now, as you mentor and train these entrepreneurs, also talk about this, what you call critical skills, that are not necessarily adverts. They hardly even tell you about them, which is your social skills as well, how to be streetwise. And we know every township, there's a mechanic who's working somewhere there who learned a mechanical skill from his father. That is an entrepreneur. Now, as a SETA, we are now taking these guys and say, we'll train you, we'll RPL you as an artisan, but we'll also bring you in as an entrepreneur and fund you as a mechanic. Plumbers, electrician, the list is endless.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. The panel is over at this point. I'm kidding. I think what I like about the SETAs is, one, you're humble enough to admit that we're not at a certain level. And so you want to benchmark with the countries or regions that are there, and how do we then get there as well, right? And I think you made a fair point around scaling. During the tours, again, that came up a lot. You can't scale without the capacity to deliver, because then your business is not going to prosper, right? You spoke about mentorship. Both of you spoke about mentorship. So Tubongani, what does mentorship actually look like to you, and how has it evolved in the different spaces that you've been in, from WITS to, you know, your field of work and the different entrepreneurship agencies that you might have worked with?
Yeah, so I think for me, and I agree with my fellow panelists, that a lot of young entrepreneurs... Is the mic on? Oh, it is. Oh. So a lot of young entrepreneurs don't make use of the mentorship that they're exposed to. But over and above mentorship, there's another term. So my wife's a psychologist. The term modeling a lot, but not like runway modeling, but like being, for example, you know, if you're a parent, you model certain behavior to your child, and then your child mimics that behavior, and you only have yourself to blame however they come out, right? So there are two realms where this modeling thing has played out. One in my line of work now in the tech skills development space, but even in business, and then I'll just do a quick summary of both. Most middle-class kids grow up in middle-class homes, go to middle-class schools where they see their parents waking up in the morning, going to work, and positing certain behaviors that they can learn from. I wake up at 7, I drive to work, I play golf with colleagues on the weekend, sometimes I invite them to my house for a braai, and those middle-class kids learn behaviors that will benefit them in the world of work one day, because they can network, they can socialize, they know what working people talk about, right? And that's why when they get to the workplace, no one ever complains that private school kids don't have soft skills. We always pin it on young black kids in particular, that they don't have soft skills, right? And it's all as a result of modeling, because we take it for granted that most households, there might not be anyone with a job for young people to see modeling the behavior of an employed person. So that's how it plays out in the skills development space, because I work with unemployed youth who we then place in large organizations, and we have to teach them soft skills. And I think sometimes we take for granted that they don't know those soft skills because there was never anyone at home who modeled that behavior of what it looks like to have a full-time job and put on a tie every day and blah, blah, blah. The same goes for entrepreneurship. Modeling is very important, and surrounding yourself with the types of people who run businesses that endure. So I also like the examples that you mentioned now. I think as young entrepreneurs, oftentimes we're so eager to hang out with people who run sexy businesses that excite us. But in actual fact, the people whose behavior we need to model is, you know, your uncle who's been running a funeral parlor for 30 years. Why has it been going on for 30 years, right? Yes, it's not blockchain, it's not AI, it's funeral parlors don't need data analytics, well, they do actually, but they don't need complex blockchain technology and things like that. But the fundamentals, my revenues must exceed my costs. I must be customer-centric. If there's a grieving family coming into my funeral parlor, I must know how to take care of them and make sure that they even recommend me. Or if you have an aunt who's been running a successful catering company for the last 15, 20 years, she's getting 8 weddings a year. Why is that? Those are the fundamentals that aren't sexy, right? Because they're not buzzwords, but they're the fundamentals of running a business that I think are important. So on top of mentoring, I think modeling is very, very important. And young entrepreneurs should definitely take the initiative to surround themselves with the types of people whose behaviors they need to model. And sometimes those aren't the most exciting people. Sometimes those are the people who've been running businesses the longest. And that's certainly one of my biggest regrets. I think I hang out with a lot of exciting tech startup guys. You know, I'm disrupting this, I'm disrupting that. You know, but guys aren't paying their rent, you know. But you know, my best friend's uncle has been running a law firm for 30 years, and he works with medium-sized businesses, and his revenues exceed his costs and his expenses. And he has 3 Mercedes. Why wasn't I talking to him? You know, and his house is paid off, and his second house is paid off, and he lives a very boring and stable life. Sometimes those are the people that we need to model. And so, yeah, that's what I think the role of mentoring and modeling is essentially.
Thank you. Boring is good. I think I want to continue, but because of time, unfortunately, we have to end it here, right? Yep. Okay, let's have Dumelo add something before we close off.
It's actually an indirect proposal that through the collaborative relationship that you have with YAEI, I think we can extend the conversation further, where we can have an added collaboration conversation with Absa Enterprise Development, where you subject or the whoever that may be chosen by the YAEI team as potentials to be to be referred to your entrepreneurship development program, which we could get to a point where we can say, these guys, at this point, they are funding ready, they are market ready, and then we come in with our own team to do further analysis to see what other gaps exist that needs to be filled, and then as and when we close that, the next step becomes access to funding, which would also be supported by post-funding support that would speak to things like continued access to markets for those businesses that would have been given an opportunity. I just think it's a low-hanging fruit that's worth exploring. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the conversations will continue, right? It doesn't end here. So I hope everyone can, just grab someone, have a chat, find out about their story, right? Boring is good. That's the moral of the story. So thank you so much to the panel for joining me.
Alrighty, can we please give them another warm round of applause? Thank you so much for facilitating our panel, Ms. Nyambi. Indeed, Mr. Shoba, continuous learning must be inherited. I hope you heard that, entrepreneurs, and you'll use that in your businesses, right? As much as you'll have the money, you still need the education. All right. Can you all hear me? Perfect. All right, without any waste of time, before we even move to the next item, can we please give a round of applause for all the entrepreneurs, over 50 of them, who are joining us online from all the provinces? And I know it's not time for announcement, but while you're still joining us online, please make sure that you check your emails. The skills program commences tomorrow. Please check your emails. If you're in the room, please check your emails. You'll find all the details you need to know. As much as we're having the launch, the actual work starts tomorrow. I hope you're prepared. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without any waste of time, allow me to welcome the engine behind the machine, the CEO of the Young African Entrepreneurs Institute, Mr. Risina Maluleka.
Thank you very much, Program Director, the Chief Organizer. She's the one who puts all of these things together, Ms. Chabangu. And I must say that she's doing very well. Let's give her a hand. To the YAEI Advisory Board, I see Mam Chetty is here representing. YAEI Executive, I would like to extend greetings to the DGG for Skills Development, DHED, Utatumvalo, to the COO of WNR CETA, Mr. Shoba, Ms. Zintle Khazia. Most people get the surname wrong, all the time. So I think we need to familiarize ourselves with that, from Absa. I'm further noting in attendance Dr. Zwane and the ED colleagues that are participating in the panel discussion now. Honored guests, distinguished colleagues, partners, and of course, the incredible young entrepreneurs gathered here today, and noting those that are joining online. Good morning. I have a bit of, a foolish thing. But it is an absolute honor for me to stand before you today as we embark on the next phase of this exciting journey that we have with Absa, the launch of the Youth Entrepreneurship Skills Program. Today marks the beginning of an initiative that is not just about fostering business ideas, but about unlocking potential, empowering dreams, and building the future leaders of tomorrow. There is power in the youth and entrepreneurship. Africa's greatest asset is not in only the natural resources, nor its vast landscapes that we have, but it is its young people. Today we live in a continent, colleagues, where over 60% of the population is under the age of 25. This generation is brimming with energy, creativity, the ambition to shape a future where opportunities are within their reach. And we have seen that as we traveled across the nation with the Youth Entrepreneurship Tour. However, along this vast potential lies a critical challenge: youth unemployment. And this is something that keeps all of us up at night, including the President of the Republic. The statistics paint a stark picture. Millions of young South Africans are jobless, not because they lack the will to work, and there is that notion that they don't want to work. But I'd like to say, but it is because they lack opportunities to engage meaningfully in the economy. This is why the youth entrepreneurship is not just an option, but a necessity. I'd like to say entrepreneurship offers young people the chance to create jobs, to innovate, and to contribute directly to the growth of our economies. But entrepreneurship doesn't just happen on its own. It requires skills, knowledge, mentorship, and access to the right resources. And the panel members here demonstrated that properly in their engagement. And this is where exactly this particular program comes in. The purpose of this Youth Entrepreneurship Skills Program is more than just a training initiative. I think we had a conversation, DDG, and I'm happy that Mr. Shoba mentioned it, that there are some programs that we've had as a country, such as the New Venture Creation, which was just more about training. But some of the issues that we get to have is when you train people, the question is you train them for what? And we now need to start thinking about creating a gateway to empowerment through financial inclusion. Our mission is to equip the young people with the skills they need to turn their ideas into sustainable businesses. Sustainability is an important thing. From financial literacy and business management to marketing, innovation, the digital skills that you're talking about, Bongani. This skills program is designed to give our young entrepreneurs that foundation that they need to thrive in today's competitive landscape. We're not just teaching technical skills, we're nurturing mindsets. You were speaking about how important some conversations happen on the dinner table. But unfortunately for some of the entrepreneurs that we get to encounter or engage with across the country, they are not as fortunate to have those kinds of dinner tables where they can engage on the possibilities and what is not possible. And hence, Absa and YAEI came together to be that uncle that creates that particular table and engage with all of you. The entrepreneurial mindset is one that is creative, adaptable, and resilient. Now, as we get to engage on creating that particular entrepreneurial mindset that is adaptive and resilient, it is about seeing opportunities where others get to see challenges. And that is what most of you have done. Taking that leap of faith and identifying that opportunity and trying to create something out of it. It is about being resourceful, thinking critically, and having the courage to take risks. And some of you have already entered and you are experiencing the fire that it comes with. And some of you are yet to do that. Today's young entrepreneurs need more than just business people. They need to be innovators, leaders, and change makers. So we need to move from just people that are running businesses, but we need to start seeing how do we change the societies that we come from? How do we change the communities that we come from? The role of entrepreneurship collaboration is important and towards the support of the same. No entrepreneur succeeds alone. It takes a community to nurture and support their growth. This is why this program also aims to build networks for all of you. If it's 300 of you from all the 9 provinces, it means that you effectively have about 2 friends in each of the provinces across the country. And that is why for us it is important to connect entrepreneurs, not only just among themselves, but to connect you guys as well to mentors, industry leaders, investors, and as well peers who can guide you along the journey that you have taken. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our partners, the sponsors of this particular program, and the mentors who continue to commit their time, resources, and expertise to this particular initiative. Your involvement is not just an investment in this program, but an investment into the future of our youth, our economy, and our continent at large. It is worth boasting, Ms. Zintle Khazia, that YAEI, Absa, WRCTA, higher education institutions, we were partnering with them across the country. They were the ones that were hosting us. Panda Studios and all the various partners were able to land this particular youth entrepreneurship program across all the 9 provinces. Let's give them a hand. I'd like to say to the young entrepreneurs here today and those that are joining online and those that will be part of these programs, you are not alone on this journey. We are here to support you. We are here to challenge you and to ensure that you have everything you need to turn your vision into reality. Others believe that they need money. And I'm happy that Tumelo spoke about access to funding. So it's important. But I think it goes beyond just the need for money. It is about all the structured support that we have created for you. And neither of it is less important to the other. I'd like to say that as you embark on this journey with us, I'd like to remind you that your ideas have the power to change the world. And when I say the power to change the world, I'm not saying it in rhetoric. You may be starting small today, but every great business and every successful venture started with just a single step. The road ahead will not always be easy. It's a reality. There will be challenges, but remember, challenges are always opportunities in disguise. Through this particular opportunity and program, you will gain tools, the knowledge, as well as the confidence to navigate those challenges. Because some of us may find that you have all the tools, you have the money, but sometimes you just don't have the confidence to take the step ahead. But we are creating that particular platform in order for you to adapt as well as to persevere. I would like to say, believe in your ideas, believe in your potential, and never stop learning. This is one of the platforms where we are going to impact you with education. While our focus today is on entrepreneurship, I would like us to remember that the impact of this particular program extends beyond individual businesses. Every entrepreneur is a job creator. Every startup that flourishes contributes to the community. And that's why you have now big businesses like Absa being forces for good in each and every community. We contribute to the economy and to the social fabric of our society. Through this program, I would like to agree with you, COO, that we're not just building businesses. We want to build communities. We want to foster innovation and create the ripple effect that will shape the future of our continent. And to put things into perspective, Zintle, it is worth also again a reflection that indeed the YAEI times Absa partnership is a force for good. You mentioned it, Mr. Shoba, that last week we were in the UK. We had one of the beneficiaries of this particular program from last year's cohort who was showcasing in the UK, and we left her that side. This week she's in France. And some of her products are actually retailing in some of the select Woolworths stores. This is the demonstration that each story represented here means everything to us. Your potential is bigger than where you are today. I am not saying that will take everyone to UK, but will definitely take you to the next height. DDG, today as we continue to plant the seeds of what I believe will be a generation of empowered, resilient, and innovative young entrepreneurs. Their journey ahead will be filled with learning, growth, success stories that will inspire others. And it is important that we come together to support them. As we officially launch this part of the program, I challenge each one of you to take full advantage of the opportunities that it is going to provide for you. Use this time to grow, to learn, to push boundaries of what you think is possible. Because the future is not just something to be anticipated, it is something to be created. Together, yeah. I think my mother realized that I needed water. So she created that, Together, let's create a future where youth entrepreneurship is a cornerstone of our economy, where young people lead the way with vision, innovation, and determination. I look forward to seeing the incredible impact that each one of the entrepreneurs is going to have in the months to come and years to come, and in the decades that are going to follow, even long after we are gone. Ladies and gentlemen, as I sit down, it gives me an honor and a privilege to introduce to you our next speaker, a well-seasoned technocrat representing the Minister of Higher Education today, the Deputy Director General for Skills at DHET, Utad Vukile Mvalo. Mhlekazi, over to you. Thank you very much.
Well, I think I need some also skills program. You know, you go to a university, you study many years. You miss skills programs, as you are referring to here, which are quite very critical, especially if we are going to build our economy. I hope colleagues can hear me at the back. Okay. Okay, let me start by greeting Program Director. She has been doing very well. I know it's a rare occasion to thank the Program Director, because the Program Director will drive the program from the beginning to the end, Alpha and Omega. So we must recognize the Program Director. Well, Chief Executive Officer, I know I was speaking with you about 6 o'clock this morning. It's when I was told, when I was coming from Cape Town, that I must come here. I landed around about 7:30 OR Tambo. Then when I was checking my emails, I was told I must come here. Then I started drafting notes. I recall I might have slept around about 12 o'clock midnight because I wanted to capture the moment. And I could not phone the CEO to say, what is this thing all about? But then, you know, I was told it's about entrepreneurship. I said, okay, no. I needed not to have spoken with him before I drafted my speech. Representatives from our sitters, I should think we have heard them. Our esteemed colleagues here, and with opportunities being presented as they were presenting to us. Well, we have Absa. Well, I don't think they're here to market that we must go to Absa. We have Absa in our midst as well. Advisory board members, executive directors. I recall I was phoning the regional manager of the department for Gauteng and Free State last night. Then I was saying, I've just landed from Cape Town. I must be in Pretoria, you know, in our offices. Can you please come and represent us here? Well, I know he might have been sleeping during that time. He responded early this morning to say, I'm available. It was too late. I said, no, I'm ready for the occasion. Let's be there. I met Mr. Mzobe from the office of the minister this morning. Interestingly so, we did not know that we are all coming to the same event this morning. We just met here when we were trying to navigate ourselves to the venue. My navigator could not tell me this exact location of the venue where we are. We were somewhere around here together with Mr. Mzobe. I also greet him, and I'm quite very happy that he's here, because he's the person who's going to take the message directly to the minister. And he told me that, DDG, the minister phoned me at 3 o'clock yesterday to say he must be here. And he has honored the occasion. And we're quite very happy. So that he takes this message, these messages to the minister. Distinguished guests, I know the protocol sometimes they can take 75% of your speech. Because we want to greet everybody. Up until you greet nobody. Most importantly, our VIPs, the young entrepreneurs. It's them who brought us here this morning. And it's them who will keep us busy for many weeks to come. And shall I say, colleagues, all protocols observed. No more patronages. I'm done now. Something very interesting, colleagues, because we were in Parliament yesterday and day before yesterday. I know if you watch that video of Parliament or channel 408, I think so, colleagues were watching us being grilled by the parliamentarians, in Parliament. The issue is always impact. Are we really making impact with what we are doing? That's the big discussion. Because what is important is impact. Well, we go there, we report to say, in our universities, we graduate or we enroll. The last enrollment academic year, just over 1 million, 1,077,000. In our TVET colleges, we enrolled over 500,000. It should have been 589 or so thousand. In our CET colleges, community education and training colleges, enrolling about 143,000. The question that we are always asked, you enroll, then what thereafter? And good thing is always that, especially with our universities, if you look into those who are graduating, they are from your STEM fields. About 29% of our 230,000 would have graduated in the last year. So the majority, as it were, will be from our science, engineering, and technology. We will normally refer to STEM fields. So as a department, we are quite very excited to be joining you to this very important occasion of the 2024 Youth Entrepreneurship Skills Program launch. And it's a rare occasion for us to be interacting with the great minds that we are interacting here this morning. And I must say, as a country, we fully support programs of this nature, which seek to massify skills development in our country, particularly addressing youth unemployment. You see, we've been having this challenge for many years of youth unemployment in our country. And as was stated here, is standing at 62%, 62.1%. It's just a cohort of 15 to 24 years. 62.1%. It's the latest stats. And we cannot falter the statistician general. Of the same cohort, those who are between the ages of 15 to 24, 3.6 million of them are not in employment, education, and or training. So it means we're meeting with them in our streets every day. 3.6 million. Just 15 to 24. They do not know what tomorrow will bring. And we are seated in our ivory tower speaking about them. But the number has been increasing. I know I used to say to colleagues in the department, we have a policy, we call it a white paper for post-school education and training, which was approved by the cabinet in November 2013. If you go and look into that policy document, it's telling us that in 2013 we had 3.4 million of the same cohort, not in employment, education, and training. Now it's 2024, almost a decade thereafter. The number is on ascendancy path. So the question is that, what is that we are doing, and what is that we should be doing different? Because we cannot be doing the same thing since 1994 up until now, and then we know it does not yield the outcomes we would wish to see being yielded. We have been saying, for example, in terms of the National Development Plan, we're anticipating the economy to be growing at about 4% or so. The economy has been growing at about 1%, the economy of this country. So if the economy is growing at 1%, the population is growing at 1.9%, close to 2%, but the economy is growing at 1%. So it tells them, therefore, that we need to do things different. Well, we know, colleagues, now we have got a government of national unity. In 2019, 2020, up until now, 2024, 2025, as government, we had 7 priority areas. And now, with the government of national unity, we are having only 3 priorities for the country from now up until 2030. It's 3 priorities now. I normally say we must use what we call is a Pareto principle or Pareto rule. Pareto rule is 80-20. It says you must have 20 areas to focus on with 80% impact. It's Pareto principle. Then I'm quite very happy that, you know, as the country now we have adopted the Pareto principle, as it were, with the 3 priorities. So this is going to be a national anthem. We'll hear a lot about them right through, up until 2030 at least. We shall see what will happen after 2030. The very first one, inclusive growth and job creation. Inclusive growth and job creation. That's the first priority of government. I know as was seated here, we're busy finalizing this. It's going to get to the cabinet and so on. But the president, when he was addressing the cabinet on 18 July, he already made this indication as to what will be the focus areas for the country. So what keeps us busy here today is contributing towards inclusive growth and job creation, CEO. That is why we're happy to be here, because each and every effort is counting. And the work that we are doing here is counting. The second one, reduce poverty and tackle the high cost of living. I know we've been reducing poverty for many years. We have not yet reduced, but the poverty is getting up. But we'll continue fighting to reduce poverty. You see, if you look into the National Development Plan, we targeted that by 2020, we would have reduced unemployment to 14%. Unemployment is just above 30% now, as was stated here. We said, okay, in 2030, we'll reduce to 6%. Now we're somewhere at 33.5%. 2030 is our neighbor now, it's quite very close by. Building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. Because if the state is not holding, we're likely then therefore going to continue having these challenges as the country. Building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. You don't need people who get into the state, they are stealing there. Yeah. Or they get to work, they sleep there. You get to work, you work. Because you are being paid by the taxpayers' money. So, colleagues, your initiative, which includes amongst others, financial inclusion, access to information, entrepreneurial skills, and innovation, will be crucial towards our drive within the remit of the medium-term development plan. Your launch also, I must confirm, that is aligning very well with these strategic priorities which I've just mentioned for government. And our national plan for post-school education and training, which was launched in September 2023, goals such as expanding access to post-school opportunities. You know, as the department or our entities, we can take so much. So that is why we make a call both to private and public that we need to expand access to skills programs. And when we're saying we must expand access, we always marry this with a demand-led approach. Because CEO, we don't want to train for unemployment. I know in Parliament, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee was saying, now when you come back, you're saying you trained so many. Tell us, where are they, those men you have trained 3 months thereafter? It's a difficult task. It means you must have tracer studies to follow up. I was discussing with you earlier saying, okay, everyone will be placed in the program. What will happen then thereafter? And he answered me in affirmative as to what will be the plan thereafter. And being responsive. Being responsive, colleagues, it means you're training for something. You don't train, as I said, for the sake of training. Well, I know with my colleagues, in the department, especially the DDG responsible for universities, then I used to say to DDG, we want to know how many of your graduates are employed. And then she will tell me, you see, DDG Mvalo, we are not only training for the employment, we're training for society, we're training. I said, you see, DDG, we train people with theology. Well, I'm not having a problem about theology or biblical studies. But you see, there are some numbers whereby, let's train less here. Yeah, let's not train more, people will be preaching. Yeah, because they are going to be unemployed as well. But I'm not saying, colleagues, you read me with honor. I'm saying we need more numbers in STEM areas, as it were. Because this is what is required by the economy. Well, we develop critical skills list, we develop occupations in high demand. We do those things as a department because we want to signpost young people to say these are the areas that you must, go through in terms of career development services. But I know it's difficult to win at that because if you go to high school, young people, they do more of maths lit. Well, maths, the last time I did, I can't tell you when was that. I know I did maths, but then that was some time ago. But I can tell you, by the time I was doing my grade 12, there was no maths. We were not calling grade 12 during those times. It was Form 4. When I was doing my Form 5. So you see, the privilege of being close to 8 years, you can have a nexus with the history. That is why, the wisdom will always be with those who have been there before you. Because now you must connect, say, what was this Form 5 all about? So that nexus, is a generational mix, as it were. I know we're discussing with my esteemed earlier on, because I was saying young people must lead them. And then she was saying you need wisdom as well. I agreed fully with her. That you cannot let young people alone. There must be some wisdom because they must learn as well. Okay, it is well known, colleagues, that most jobs will be created in the private sector. Government is not going to create many jobs. It's not going to happen. However, this presents a unique opportunity for South African entrepreneurs. To fully capitalize on this, our young entrepreneurs must be vibrant, ready to seize opportunities as they arise, and most importantly, adapt to the ever-evolving landscape of technological advancement. We know now without technology, almost there's nothing we'll do. If you're going to Soweto, you want a certain address, you use technology now. You no longer go and stop and ask people along the road, where is Vilakazi Street? And then they say, go further down. You get there, where is Vilakazi Street? Go further down up until you get lost. Now, the technology is so advanced now that we're using technology. You see, the first time I came to Gauteng in 2012, it was difficult for me, but then because technology was there, I could go wherever. Because I'll tell people, if I go to Cape Town, I don't need to use any device that I can go to wherever in Cape Town. Whether it's Saldanha, it's Mowbray, it's Camps Bay, it's a Platt, it's a Nice, and I can just drive. I don't use technology. And now here, because I was using technology, now I can go to many places. So technology aided me a lot, and I should think it's the same to all of you. The world faces unprecedented challenges. Climate change. I know all of a sudden we're all surprised with the snow in KZN. People, when they hear about snow, they all think of Switzerland and other countries. Now, KZN, we had such a huge snow, and people even were struggling to navigate themselves, even people driving in our roads, because they're not used, in snow. So climate change is here and is going to be with us, colleagues. Technological disruption and shifting global dynamics. To address this, we need innovative, resilient, and adaptable entrepreneurs like you, especially the young minds. And as the CEO was saying and all colleagues saying, skills development is the key to unlock this potential. Technology, a driving force of the fourth industrial revolution, is a double-edged sword. On the other hand, it transforms how we learn, research, and interact with knowledge. On the other hand, it presents privacy, security, and ethical challenges. We must leverage technology to enhance the learning experience, especially for young entrepreneurs. You see, colleagues, you go to a small country called Estonia. It's in Europe. I should think it's having about 1.5 million population. You'll be surprised that that country is having what you call e-residence. More than 66,000 people are doing business in Estonia. They're not staying there. It's because of technology. Because of technology. That country has adopted what we call a digital society. So, as an entrepreneur, it does not mean that you must be in Limpopo with the technology today, or you must be in Zimbabwe or in Ethiopia. The technology allows you to be everywhere. So that is why it's very important for us to embrace and adopt technology. As I'm coming close to the end, colleagues, we must encourage everyone, especially young people, to think creatively, solve problems, and take risks. I know it was said here a lot. William Plomer, quote unquote, says, creativity is the power to connect the seemingly unconnected. Creativity. We need more programs and resources to support startups who agree and entrepreneurial initiatives. And we agree that a thriving economy, as envisaged in the National Development Plan, creates more opportunities for entrepreneurs and the growth of small business. And we must prioritize and create an enabling environment for entrepreneurs to thrive in South Africa if we are going to address this question of youth unemployment. The National Development Plan is saying, for example, out of 11 million jobs would be created by 2030, 90% of them should be coming from your micro, small, and medium enterprises. So this, colleagues, involves instilling entrepreneurial spirit everywhere in schools. I know we're doing this now in our TVET colleges. We're doing this in our community education and training colleges. We're doing this in our universities as well. And this should be our national anthem. And we must remove barriers to entry in various value chains. Whether you want to go to mining, you want to go to hydrogen economy, we must remove barriers. If, as the nation, we are going to succeed in addressing youth unemployment in particular. As we implement our medium-term development plan, colleagues, you will surely agree that harnessing our young people potential remains critical for our economy. Otherwise, there will be no inclusive growth I've spoken about earlier if we are not harnessing the potential of our young people. You see, the National Development Plan puts it nicely, colleagues. Our future, make it work. That's a National Development Plan. It was crafted in 2012. South Africa belongs to all its people, and the future of our country is our collective future. That is why we're here. Because we're not going to operate in silos if we are going to address all these social ills, whether it's poverty, inequality, or unemployment. It continues to say, all South Africans seek a better future for themselves and their children. That is why we're here. As envisaged in the National Development Plan, we see this initiative of yours as critical in building a better future, a better South Africa, a better world. Well, I must say, colleagues were speaking about soft skills. Well, I learned a lot. We were in Lyon, in France, in September. We're competing there, skills. Competing internationally, we go to these countries. We're competing in 24 areas in South Africa. Well, you know, I know when we were interviewed by SABC there, then I was saying to SABC, no, we'll bring medals. But fortunately, after the announcement of the results, SABC was not there. They went with us in France, and they were covering us like I don't know. Because I was told, they told me, hey, we see you here. You're speaking about medals. We're looking forward to welcome you at OR Tambo. Hey, the medals could not come. Then I had to be clever in terms of my nomenclature, my language. We go to social media, people ask, hey, how are you doing now? Hey, because I was saying, hey, today is announcement of the results of the World Skills Competition. And how many countries? 89 countries of the world. And South Africa is one of the countries in Africa with more competitors. Colleagues of mine in other countries in Zambia were saying, hey, we're looking forward to you, South Africa. But you know, because I had to change the language later. I said, well, when I was analyzing the results, okay, we didn't get a medal. But when I was analyzing the results, South Africa has improved by 3%. Because now South Africa was number 22 out of 59 countries. Okay, others were not participating, but then they are part of the World Skills International. The Nigeria, Ethiopia, Democratic Republic of Congo were admitted when we were there already. So what I learned there, soft skills are very important, colleagues. Soft skills. Because you get there. You see your Chinese, when they get there, they work in the project immediately. Ours, we get there, we have some small talk. Those guys are running. By the time you discover, you know, they're miles away from you. And then you panic. This is what's happening. And unfortunately, you compete once because you cannot take the same team and compete in China. We're going to China in 2026. I was saying to the team, soft skills we need to emphasize, or not only technical skills. Well, I must boast about this one. When we compete in Africa, we bring more medals. In 2022, in Namibia, we brought 8, we're leading. In April next year, we are here in Zambia. I was already saying to the Zambian colleagues, we are going to bring more of those medals because we'll be taking our A team, which competed in France, to compete in Namibia. Then I said, we can take number 2s, but we'll take number 1s. Because they were saying, please, you don't bring South Africa number 2s, bring number 1s. I will bring number 1s in Zambia next year. So you must watch the space, and then we're not saying we bring medals, and then you can hold me accountable or bring medals. Okay, as I'm closing, colleagues, let me leave you with the following. It's by Richard Branson, quote unquote, your passion is the fuel that drives your entrepreneurial journey. There is nothing else a passion. Because if there is no passion, you better not get there. It's like when you go to university to start a program, you have no passion, wasting your time. So your passion is at the center, of the work, especially if you are speaking of entrepreneurial development. Eleanor Roosevelt, quote unquote, says, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Then it's you. No other persons except your good selves. Well, normally I'm always advised you must stick to the text. Because colleagues of mine, they say, once you leave the text, you can speak the whole day. Yeah, so even in Parliament, they were saying, stop now. So I tend to stick to the text. But then I must tell you this story. When you are here, okay, let's do this. If you look into those who've gone to university, as was stated here, unemployment is at 9.8%. There is right now, as we're here, about 8.3 million people unemployed. Those people, 9.8% have gone to universities. 23% of them, they have gone to other tertiary qualification, whether excluding universities, obviously, but TVET college and so on. 33% of them, that 8.3 million, is those with grade 12. Grade 12. If you see many people are unemployed, I know people, they always say, you're going to university, you're unemployed, but it's low compared to, those who have gone to TVET colleges, those with grade 12s. Those with no grade 12 is sitting at 38%. You'll count 38% of 8.3. I said the last time I did mathematics, it was some time ago. So you'll do your own calculation as to these numbers I'm talking about. Then out of that 8.3 million, just over 700,000 will be, now I'm coming to numbers, just over 700,000 will be those who gone to university with graduates. And about 3.4 million of them, 3.4 million out of 8.3 million, those who have gone to other tertiary qualifications, referring to TVETs, yeah? No, it's 3.3 because they, it's 3.3, okay. Graduates will be included there in that just over, and your TVET, that's over 700,000. Because those with no grade 12, the number is 3.4 million. Those with grade 12, the number is 3.3 million. So basically, if you look into that, more than 80%, once again now, when I'm using these numbers, you'll see people who have not gone to tertiary. And now, if you bring more entrepreneurial spirit to those, all of them, I can tell you, there should be somewhere as we speak. Most countries of the world, you can go to India, the unemployment is very low. It's not that people are employed, they're working somewhere at Absa or they're working somewhere. It's not the case. Because people, they take, your micro, small, and medium enterprises as a serious work in those countries. So it's something that we need to instill, that we need to continue preaching. If we can make it a national anthem, well, that will be fine, so that everyone in his or her corner knows about it. That if you go for entrepreneurial development, you are likely then therefore to get somewhere. As I said, out of 11 million jobs to be created by 2030, 90% are going to come from your micro, small, and medium enterprises. So, colleagues, I should think that's all that we're bringing unto you this morning. It's always a challenge when someone was invited on a short notice, is having more to say. I hope, Mr. Mzobe, you have heard it. Yeah, when we are brought in a short notice, you have more to say. Okay, colleagues, thanks very much. You take care of your good selves.
Thank you very much, DDG, for your comprehensive and very good speech. We appreciate it. Can you please give him a round of applause? We appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're running behind. All right, so now we will go to the next item in my program. Okay, I think. Can you hear me? Or I can continue. Okay, fine. All right, so we will call upon on stage Mr. Joseph Khoza. He is the founder of Street Grid. He's one of the entrepreneurs that we have chosen to be part of the Imagine 30, and also he's part of the skills program. He'll just tell us a brief expectations. It's good also to hear from the entrepreneurs themselves what their expectations are, so that by the time we're done, we know exactly if we have delivered or we still need to do more work. Can you please give him a round of applause? By the way, you have 5 minutes.
Sure. 5 minutes. Is it working? Yeah. All right, cool. Morning, everyone. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. I'd like to greet everyone from Absa, Higher Education, DDG, the CEO, everybody, including Mr. Mzobe, Linda, everyone. Not too privy to speeches and all of that. I'm going to speak about Street Grad. It's my business I've been building for 6 years. Where we started, initially I was a trainer at Hollard. I used to work just down the road. There's a Hollard building here. I was one of the top performing agents there for 6 years. They just couldn't stop paying me too much commission. I had to be a trainer. So initially in 2019, I registered my business as a trainer. I started training people that would go to different FSPs because they couldn't have the time to train those guys. So I've been training people, WRCTA, I've been in that space, facilitating, which is what I'm doing now, but with entrepreneurs. So what we've been able to achieve so far, I did a lot of work with Absa on the ground level. I've been donating shoes, I've been doing master classes, financial literacy for younger people, kids in higher education as well, which is grade 10 to grade 12. So we are focused on those groups. We understand that it's important that for us to focus on the guys that are in university, that can find jobs, post-studying and whatnot, but it's also equally important to prepare the guys that are in high school to say, post-matric, this is what you're going to come across. And that's where we come in as street graduates. I'm a street graduate. You spoke about being street smart. We formalize it in this business and we take it as important content that we have to implement in our operations. So we've been able to land a few clients. I was very fortunate to get a grant from the NYDA just early this year to procure equipment. So it has made us look like a very professional team. We've got 5 guys that I'm working with. Yeah, and I'm working with some ladies. And I'm very happy because at the end of this month, we'll be lodging our first invoice. You know, a good invoice. Yeah. Yeah. So Yeah. Also, it goes to how we do business. I don't have formal arrangements in place. I usually just identify gaps. I go there. I work with an organization called Mo Africa Itlokomele. They are an NPC. They've been running programs and whatnot, but they're not reaching the right people. You spoke about impact. Are we having impact? The last time we were at the other venue, your fellow colleague, I forgot his manager from WNRC, I asked him a very important question, and I couldn't find joy in that, but I think it's important for us to come here today. We'll have the opportunity to do that. So impact is very important. You know, you look at what we've done. Just this week alone, I've trained 200 people virtually. And these are the guys that have always been on your NEMISA programs and whatnot, but they didn't know how these platforms work. So it speaks to, are there enough accelerators? Are there enough programs on the ground? They are, but are we utilizing them to the max? That's where we come in as small businesses to ensure that we're able to facilitate the relationship between Absa as a brand and also small businesses that do not have access to funding, to capital, and things of that nature. But also, I think YAEI plays a very critical role. I'm very excited about the upcoming program starting tomorrow. I was hoping it's going to be, in person for everyone, but I'm assuming there are guys that are in other provinces that can connect virtually. I think that's going to be very important for us because in 2021, before lockdown, I was part of Black Umbrellas. I was undergoing the same program, but I couldn't finish it because of the lootings. Our venue was looted, and we couldn't proceed with the work. So I think this will provide me with a second opportunity to go and get the necessary skills, especially on leadership ethics and things like that. We are a big business, but as to how we scale and how we protect that growth, it's equally important. It also speaks to modeling, what you spoke about. We don't have mentors. I don't have a mentor, to be quite honest. But everyone I engage with, those like Linda, they would know. I would always jump in there to say, what do you think about 1, 2, 3? Can I implement this? Your casual response, it's big to me. I go back home and I try to work on that. So I'm gonna end there for now. But like I said, I'm very, very excited about this. I would like to work with everyone that is in this room, whether it's small businesses, because I'm already in that pipeline. I'm taking in small businesses that I'm training. All the 100 guys, I'm going to be onboarding them on a platform with Fire Group. Fire Group is a company that is based in Madagascar, but also in PTA. They have a subscription for small businesses to advertise there. My job is to get businesses into that platform. Fire's job is to ensure that the businesses are advertised. Makes sense. Thank you so much. To enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Joseph. Another round of applause for him for keeping it at 5. Thank you so much for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, may we please welcome the Chief Innovation Officer from the Young African Entrepreneurs Institute, Mr. Hassi. He'll be giving us the closing remarks.
Molweni, sanibonani, avsheli, namaste. Namaste. I am, they say, the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaketh, right? So I would like, before I give you closing remarks, to give a round of applause to the YAEI and Absa team for delivering this. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing work, engaging with entrepreneurs across the country. Just seeing the stories, man. Young people are hungry. Young people need these interventions, right? And I am proud to say that we are not doing it big, but we then form part of the solution, right? With the Youth Entrepreneurship Program. Youth Entrepreneurship Tour. We are able to reach these young people, right? We speak, Didiji, in terms of skills in the morning and skills in economy. You spoke about the Pareto effect, so you invoked my economics, so I have to wear that hat. So there's a model called the Roma model. Those who did growth economics, they will remember the Roma model, right? And one of the components of the Roma model is human capital, right? So the problem that we were solving to say, how does then investment in R&D does not translate into expected economic growth? So R&D will mean research, R&D will mean development of products, right? So I said to my prof, let's look at this model and let's see what it says. It says that human capital would mean knowledge and skills, right? So if you're not, you can invest in R&D, but if you're not investing in knowledge acquisition and skills, we can never then translate the investment into outcomes, right? That's fundamental, right? So in essence, and hence the skills program. So I'm trying to get you to the skills program to say that there is a capacitation issue within that SMEs need, right? You have an invention, yes, right? But can you translate that invention into an innovation? So there's a difference. So because innovation would mean that there's a business that surrounds that particular invention. That's why you can commercialize that particular product, right? So the main gap is skills. 90% of SMEs fail, right? And our mission at YAEI is to create what? Sustainable businesses. So in that, hence the YES program are very critical. To say that, yes, you have that invention. Yes, you are undercapacitated. We know that you're undercapacitated because you are alone. You wear different hats. You are a marketer, you are a copy, you are an executive, you are, you go to LinkedIn, you'll see those stories. But now we realize that you need help. You understand? You need that capacitation. Hence, beautiful ladies like Kensani in our department are able to assist in that capacitation to say that advisory work, or consulting solutions are here for you to know what marketing is. And this particular training is able to then bridge that gap and capacitate our young people, our young innovators, our young entrepreneurs in order for them to commercialize and build sustainable businesses. We are in a game. We are not in a game of 2 years, 3 years. But 20 years down the line, the Young African Entrepreneurs Institute should be then shaping how the ecosystem of entrepreneurship and SME development in Africa, yes, in Africa, at large is. You understand? So my remarks in closing, I just wanted to show you in terms of then the platform and what we have committed to do in order for us to make sure that we have an end-to-end process in the entrepreneurial development process. You can just show us a bit in terms of the platform that we're able to then create, right? This platform allows us to track. Remember, I think a lot of people will have these entrepreneurial programs, but how do you make sure that you track and you keep track of the businesses? Because yes, we can run a youth entrepreneurship program, but how do you make sure that in 2 years' time, if Mr. Tumelo calls me and say, where is that business? I would have to then go to the platform and look it up to say, okay, this business has moved from pre-revenue to post-revenue. You understand? No, I would like them to meet 1, 2, 3, and 4 people. You understand? So this platform allows us to do that, but not only from an admin perspective, but it allows them also to learn, right? So part of it is an LMS, it's a learner management system that allows them, us as facilitators, to give them courses, right? And the YES in particular, and that's why this is a flagship. The YESP in particular will be conducted using this particular platform, right? We're working with innovators that are within our ecosystem to develop such a platform and making sure that we solve the access issue by moving it offline, right? So this is a particular work that the Young African Entrepreneurs Institute has been doing. Beyond going 9 provinces, beyond setting up the skills program, this is what we have committed to do in terms of making sure that we have what? Impact. Making sure that we can measure impact. Because how do you do it? You put people in a program and then they have certificates and that's that. But how do you make sure that you continually support them and realize in that the gaps that are within the particular business? So this is a 2-part system. It allows entrepreneurs to list their businesses and for us to see the progress, but also train them in that. But also, thirdly, connect them as entrepreneurs and create a particular network. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much for taking us through the system. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are as impressed as I am. Apparently, Sakai, what do we call it now? Canva, Ulwazi, was found shaking. All right, thank you so much to our Chief Innovation Officer. Unfortunately, we're talking about Zulu, guys. And now we've come to the end of our lunch. Thank you so much for taking your time off your schedules and making it out here. And Mom Chetsi, thank you so much. But most importantly, thank you so much to all the other entrepreneurs joining us from all other 9 provinces. Can we please also give them a round of applause? And now it's time for announcements. I'm going to start with the platform, right? Please, to all our entrepreneurs, we have selected the top 30. We've been sending you emails. Please check your emails. Secondly, there is a WhatsApp group on the email. Please make sure you click the link, you join the WhatsApp group, right? And here in Gauteng, please, I hope by the time you leave here, you have already joined your WhatsApp groups and you have already signed up on the platform. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's network and let's get some food. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.